Welcome to Listen.
Teacher Chatter.
This is Robin.
And Jill.
And I'm back.
You are back.
I know, I missed you.
I know. I mean, what people don't realize is we've already been in the studio for a half hour catching up.
It feels like I haven't seen you in years.
Well, a lot has happened in
lot
that
has
amount
happened.
of time, apparently. And Krista did a great job
She
last
did.
week.
Thank you for filling in for me, Krista. I appreciate it.
But Robin came pushing through.
That's
She's like,
right.
can't make that a habit.
No, don't get comfortable. Just don't get comfortable, all right? Mama's back. Mama's back.
Well, I think I'm going to start out with just kind of letting people know, like, this is
Yeah.
our last episode of this school year.
Yes, I cannot believe it's our last step. I can't believe school's out in just a few days. It's shocking.
It's mind-boggling.
Yes.
There's been so much that has
Yes.
happened this year. But all things must come to an end.
That's right. And it's been a good year.
It has been. It has. So just to let everybody know kind of our summer deal, we're not going to act like it's going to be super consistent as far as when things come out.
Because we're on summer break.
We're on summer break. But Rob and I are going to try to get together at least like once a month in the summer. So we'll have 2 or 3 episodes throughout the summer where we're together.
Yes.
So be making sure that you're checking our social media, and then make sure that you're subscribing on your favorite podcast platform, because then it'll pop up for you. We also plan to maybe have some special guests come in and co-host with each of us at different times and kind of make it fun. And so you never know who might be on here. So we'll be checking things out for sure. So, but it's summer break, so it makes sense, you know?
And when we're not together, it's not because we're fighting. Probably I'm going to hope one of us is on vacation having our best life.
Yeah. Well, that's the other part. It's just really challenging between all the things that
Yes.
go on in the summer to find a consistent.
Because we were even talking a few weeks ago, and we're like, I can't this week because I'm gone. Well, I'm gone the next week. Oh, wait, I'm gone after that. And so it is a busy time.
Yeah. So just like I said, make sure you're checking the social media, and we'll make sure that we keep those up to date with all of that information. So there you go.
It's exciting.
It's crazy. I am going to be sad because we do have like a weekly counseling session.
I know. So. Maybe we'll just go to dinner.
Right. Yeah, the whole world doesn't have to know what's going on in our
right.
lives. That's weird. Yeah. It is funny though, whenever you find out who listens to the podcast, and like randomly, well, this last week, my son Race had an awards ceremony, and I was silent, and she looked super familiar. She teaches at the junior high, and hopefully you're listening right now. But we just started chatting, and she's like, so I listen to your podcast. Like, so you know more about me than I know about you. But,
well, I was thinking someone came up to me and said something, and I was like, how the hell did they know that happened? And then I was like, oh, we talked about it on the podcast, but I was like, how did they know that?
But I love it.
Oh,
like,
yes.
I love when people reach out in that way.
Oh, me too.
And
I love
this
it.
junior high teacher, like I said, I see her all the time with different things, and we kind of put all that together, and then it's like, okay, there you go. So anyway, I love that it makes our world a little bit smaller.
Yeah, I love it too. I actually love it.
So thank you for our listeners, whether you're a weekly listener or when you get the chance and you catch up, or you get
you're really bored lister, like you want something in your life to listen to.
So you listen to us.
We appreciate it.
We do.
We don't care what kind of listener you are.
Nope, we love you all.
We're not picky.
Oh man. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into our highs and lows.
Okay, and you know what? I'm going to let you start because
that's beautiful. Thank you.
I haven't thought about it actually. It's end of the year.
Okay, so I'm going to start out with my lows. So end of the year, there's different kind of struggles that happen, you know, and like we have all these different special days and all these things that we're going to talk about, end of the year stuff. But also in those moments, we have students that decide that's a great time to make poor choices.
I know.
And so my low is just like, I want the last few days to be the best ever.
Yes.
And I want like all these happy thoughts and all of these things. And unfortunately, some of my friends have not made great choices. And like, I have kids that have decided that's a good time to slap somebody or to push somebody, or it is. It's like a hand, and I'm like,
yes.
Why would you do that now? I don't know. And I'm like, I don't know either. I'm like, this isn't a little thing. Like you can't do that. And so then it just makes me sad because the impulse control in some of those things, and then they have to miss out on some of the things they've been looking forward to. And I know they haven't processed fully through that, but I'm like, you just wish, because you could be right there next to them.
I know.
Or you turn your back and all of a sudden someone's
Yeah.
like, Mom, Mrs.
Yeah.
Weedle,
Yeah.
so-and-so. And I'm like, what happened?
I know.
And so that's my low, because you do want your year to finish so strong. And
it's exhausting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You feel like you're constantly being a bouncer.
Yeah. And I'm like, and I don't want to be
No.
like having this. And
No.
honestly, most of the kids have done a great job.
Yes.
And we have had so much fun in other ways, but it's just like those little moments. I'm like, I hate that you just ruined this for yourself or whatever,
Yeah.
you know, in this moment. And so that's my low. My high. Get a little drink there. My little refreshment. My high is that, you know, at the end of the year, sometimes you get like your staff get-togethers.
Uh-huh.
And recently, we had a staff get together at one of our friends' homes, and I just laughed and laughed and laughed, and it was like going through the stories of the year.
It's so fun.
You know, and honestly, I told them, I said, guys, you have given me so much content. I could do a podcast for like weeks on this, to which all their eyes got really big.
Well,
like,
you know what?
I don't know that you need to share all of this.
I think you should, because I wasn't there, so I feel like this is a share.
Are you having FOMO?
I am FOMO.
Yeah. Your fear of missing out is kicking in.
Oh.
You don't even know the people most
It doesn't
of them.
matter. I feel like I would like them.
You would love them. But it was just cracking me up, because some of the stories you haven't heard, you know, because like we're in our own little groups of people, pods, and so you start talking about students or the things teachers have done. And I mean, I was rolling.
That is so fun.
And something unique for me is now that my husband and I work in the same building, he was also at the get together, and he, oh my gosh, was cracking me up too with stuff, because then like he doesn't get to see all the teachers. Like they drop their kids off and they leave, you know, like he doesn't get to see people like that either, and they don't get to see him. So it was just really funny and fun. And so I love that moment of just kind of being able to come together, laugh together, have a good time, share the stories of the year. And now even some of the ones that in the moment you were like,
it wasn't funny in the moment.
No.
But now it is.
I mean, those are the good ones. So I encourage everybody to have those moments with your fellow staff members in whatever vicinity that looks like for you. So we had a good time. It was definitely high.
Well, my low is, honestly, I've had a rough couple weeks personally for my family. We've had a lot of things going on with death and sicknesses and stuff. And, you know, I think it's hard. I always say this is the best job until something else in your life is going wrong. And then it's so hard to balance the two. And so I have missed out on a lot of fun things that I have loved and have planned the last 2 weeks because I've had to be gone. So that's my low, is when you're excited about certain things. We had a retirement for a good friend that I helped kind of plan to, and I wasn't able to be there for it. And so it was just being, and like you said, FOMO, like I said, I was so sad to miss out. I was like, my friend said, are you crying because your uncle died, or are you crying because you have FOMO? I said, I'm crying for both.
I cry for multiple things.
But anyway, so that's my low. But the high is we did plan a PBI parade for our kids on Friday when I missed out. This is one thing I missed. But and the bad news is Jill and I were actually having a meeting the week before, after I had scheduled the fire department, the drum corps, which couldn't come, but I had the police. Like, there was lots of noise, okay? Let's put
Semi-trucks
that were blowing their horn. And when I met with Jill, I was like, yes, this parade is already coming together. And I invited someone to take pictures. And she looked at me and she said, you know, we're map testing that day.
During that time.
And I said, what?
And our buildings are right next to each other.
Right. And actually, the parade through the parking lot is just between our two buildings. So it's not even like.
Well, and where they were stationed was in the parking lot of my building. Like,
so I was like, do you think you'll still be testing? And I was like, check your schedule again. And it was actually exactly in the middle of when you would be testing. It wasn't even like close to the end. No. It wasn't. It was flat in the middle.
Yeah.
So I did come back I came back and I said to my principal, I think we might have a problem.
I know. Here's the other part. As Robin starts doing this, I look at her, I'm like, it's not like I want to rat her out, but I was like, I have to tell my principal that you're doing this. She's like, wait, let me talk to mine first.
It's like, let me talk to mine. Give me 15 minutes. Let's start, okay? 15 minutes.
But ironically, as she's leaving, I get an email from my principal for the whole building. He has been informed, and he's let us know you can take a break during this time.
Well, like there was a hate email actually. I think it was going around too. No, just kidding. So anyway, I came back and they're like, "Yes, we'll call him." And so your principal was so kind. They said, because I said we could reschedule. I came back and said it'll be hard, but we can reschedule. We did not realize, and so he said they would just take a break, which we really appreciate because it would have been really hard to reschedule everything. But anyway, needless to say, it worked out. I'll make sure I schedule better next year. But the kids, I had so many people, even though I couldn't be there. I get someone FaceTime me.
Oh.
So I got to see everything, and it might have been 20 minutes before the funeral, so I was in the hallway. So I was like, "This is embarrassing." So, but it was good. But they just really enjoyed it, and I, you and and I'm very much this way. I get very excited, and I think that everybody will love it as much as I do. But sometimes that isn't the way it is. Yeah. But this is actually one of those times that everybody loved it, and it was just a great thing. And I just love that we work in a community that would come and parents that would come at 9:30 in the morning to help celebrate with our kids. And it was just an amazing little parade. So I look forward to it next year.
So when we took our break, all of the middle school teachers also decided we want to be in the parade next year. Oh. We were like, we would love our teams to do like floats.
I love it.
And then we could, be a part of your parade next year.
Would actually, and that'd be so great for the fourth graders coming over.
Yeah.
Done. I'll add it on the list.
See, I know. This great things happen.
I love it. I love it.
So very good. Now that it turned out well.
It did.
It looked really fun.
It looks good. Yeah.
All right. Well, some reminders. We are on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We are on YouTube. You want to see our faces? And you know how cute Robin always looks, and I'm usually in a t-shirt with my hair back. And make sure you have subscribed on all of those different places, or have liked or following, and then same thing on the platforms, the podcast platforms. So that is iHeartRadio, that is Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify.
You name it, we're there.
It's a real thing, people. We're everywhere. Like, you can't escape us. And here's the other great thing about over the summer. You can catch up on all the episodes from the past. So be checking those different things out. And so this week, we're just talking about the end of the year.
Just end of the year.
End of the year. What are the things? What's going on in our minds? All of the things, and end of the year related. So do you want to start off with one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you know what? We just had this on Friday. So I thought about like special things like field day.
Yes.
So you know what? This year was exciting because of course I wasn't there because I had strep. So I'm just going to go what I think it was like.
Can everybody please just take a moment right now and be praying for Robin? And I'm laughing, we're laughing with it, but honestly, she has been through the ringer the last couple of weeks, and I feel for her, and it just kind of added up. So in this moment, be praying. Yeah.
Just pray that the Hammonds family survives. But yes, we're good. But it's exciting, and this year we always just went for like 2 hours a day. And this year our PTA took it over, and it was all day, and like they had like foam bubbles, and they had water sports, and it was supposed to rain, and it rained a little bit, so they stayed outside. There's no lightning for a little bit of rain, but it's just I love it because it's just being outside and like the exercising and getting fresh air and all day. And so now for teachers, it's an exhausting day.
Yeah,
it's an exhausting day because it's nonstop, and we have little kids that start getting cranky. They hate when they lose the game. I don't know if you guys have that at middle school, but like when they lose, they throw fits. When everything, but it's a fun day. But I don't think anyone also realizes how exhausting it is for a teacher.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
No, I do.
And I think, and then they have after school yesterday. They have the end of the year celebration because they ran all these bounce houses. So you go from field day all day to have to go and be there, and that's a lot.
It is a lot,
but it is exciting, and it does help when we have such an amazing PTA that does a lot of great things.
I have 2 children in that building, and we were busy a lot yesterday afternoon. But whenever they got to tell us about it, they were my 4th grader, Nash. He was like, I'm the fastest kid in 4th grade. So I guess they must have had foot races.
They did, and they got ribbons and stuff.
Yeah, and so he was pretty happy about that. Cruz got a 2nd place one. Ooh. So he felt pretty good about that. But they both, and Cruz, our 7-year-old, was so excited. Like the night before, he was like, Mom, my teacher has sent you a list of the things I need tomorrow. We need to look at that list. let's, in the morning he woke up, Mom, have you checked the list? Do I have everything? What do I need to take to school? And it was just so funny because he was so just ready to go.
Yeah.
And I also, after when I was leaving the middle school, and I don't know how old the boy is. I don't know him. He looked about like a third grader. He was helping pick up his older sibling, and he was like, our field day today was amazing. And he was just blah, 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 telling his older brother, all about it, to which the older brother was pretty much ignoring him. But I just looked at the kid, and his eyes were lit up. And so, though it is exhausting, I think we also need to remember, like, it's so worth it for those kids. And it's the memories that they're making.
The rest of their life. They'll always look back on things. I agree.
Yeah. Now, Cruz did tell me that a kid was crying because he, lost. And I said, this is a great moment for building character.
That's right.
Can't win everything.
That's right.
He's like, and he tried to cheat whenever he tried to run before he was supposed to run. And I'm like, well, cheaters don't win.
Exactly. That's right. He should have been crying.
That's right. But I think it does come back. I'm like, I think some schools have steered away from that stuff because of not wanting to hurt people's feelings or whatever else. I'm like, but that, and you don't have to be the best. Like, let it be a moment of learning, like, it's like that participation trophy thing or rewards. I'm like, you don't have to do that. Like, yes, you got to be a part of a team. You got to be a part of this event, and it's okay.
And there's only one winner.
There's only one winner.
And I actually was talking to someone the other day, and I said, I think that's what's happening with our society. We're not raising kids or people to have grit. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what, like, I even look at, like, sometimes new teachers and like, they just don't have I'm going to stick with this.
Yes.
And it's hard, but I can pull up my big girl pants and I can keep going. Yeah. And I just think that's part of the thing is we just say everybody's a winner. Like, it's okay. No, no, you're not. You're going to lose. You're not always going to get what I'm going to lose. You're going to lose. We're all going to lose. And it's okay. That's what makes us stronger. And and I always tell my kids, there'll always be somebody out there that's better than you. Yeah. Always, somewhere.
In whatever category.
You're always eventually going to be someone. You're never going to be the best at everything.
And that's what I don't always understand is, like, people's mindset with that. Yeah. Like, when you don't have to be a person that's super athletic, like, or whatever. Like, like you said, every category. And quite frankly, God has given us each our strengths and 100%. The things that we're great at. But you got to go and figure those things out. And also, it's okay to not be in these other places. So, yeah. Well, if only we could,
solve the world problems.
Yeah, everybody listen to that part and make sure you put it into play in your own life. Yes. So I was also thinking about students, and at the end of the year we do like awards. Yes. Right? Yes. And I know every building is different with how they approach all of those things. Yeah. Like, our junior high has an awards night where seventh graders are invited to come with their families, and they give them their academic awards or their character awards and things like that. In my building, we do it during the day, and because we're on our proficiency scale, we don't have like an A, B honor roll or anything like that. But they're having us pick kids that, like, we have like 4 different trade, like they've done portrait of the graduate all throughout the year, so we'll have kids recognized for that, but we'll also have these other awards at the end of the year for like enthusiasm or good citizen, things like that are kind of and they'll be recognized in front of their peers with that. But it's also, again, goes back to, so we in my pod we're also doing like classroom awards. The kids voted for it, every kid will come away with something. And it's also, that's another one of those interesting things, right? Because you're going to recognize X amount of kids in front of the whole group. And you have some people that are not happy about that. Yeah. And then you have some, I'm like, but this is also an opportunity for, how I view it is, you have these kids that have all year been super enthusiastic or hardworking and whatever that looks like. And you're like, this is a time for them to be recognized. And it's okay that I'm not giving out 75 awards in that moment. And I'm just saying, like, these are the ones that I've seen go above and beyond for this. Yes. Like, celebrate them. And also gives kids an opportunity to celebrate with their friends. Yes. And just be like, and I'm going to use an example. My son got an award at the junior high, and it was for, like, they did a kind of a, for the entire, like, they do portrait of graduate too, but it was like a kid that shows all of these traits. And they picked 3 from each of their group. My son raised my own. He was 1.
That's awesome.
I did not know that he was getting that award. But he had a buddy of his that was right next to him. And actually, I got one of the teachers where I was sitting, she looked at me, she goes, "Get your camera out." So, thank you, Jody, for giving me that heads up, Dalton. But his buddy right next to him, when his name got announced for that, was so excited for him. Yeah. Like my kid looked surprised, like, what? And his friend was like, and he starts like hitting him on the back, and he's just like so excited.
Yeah.
And it gives me chills.
Me too. It gives me. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Because it was being supportive of people around you,
and genuinely happy for that person.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It really was, and it was pretty neat too, because I'm going to give a shout out to our junior high principal, Dr. Link, because he gave a speech at the end of the awards ceremony. And, we don't always get to be around our kids' principals or know them as people very well. And I do know him pretty decently well anyway. And he literally made me tear up.
Oh.
I literally teared up with it. And it was because, one, it was coming from the heart, what he said. But you know how you want all these things for the kids that your child is around all the time, right?
Yes.
And he basically was just talking about what I just mentioned about my son's friend, where he's like, this is a group I've never seen this before, where they support each other.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, and they're great kids. They're great leaders. He said, you see all the kids that we've had up here. He's like, yes, like academically they are talented. He's like, but athletically they are talented. He's like, in their activities, they are talented. He goes, when you go to a band concert, you see kids excited for other kids and how they performed. He's like, you'll see kids standing out in the rain of a football game, cheering their friends on. Because he's like, they don't play football, but they're cheering their buddies off. He's like, you'll see kids that'll travel over to the neighboring school to be in that gym to cheer on their buddies.
Yeah.
He's like, that's not in every group.
No.
And he's like, and that's in this group. And one of the things I love is it gives that moment for, because we have, the community members there, right?
Yeah.
And it gave a moment for him to express, and he wasn't reading off a paper.
No,
it was just coming from the heart.
Yeah.
And it gave him an opportunity to look at parents, and parents to also go, wow.
Yeah.
Like, because that's kind of how I see my kids' friends and what they do.
Yeah.
But for somebody else to see that, it was so special.
Yeah.
And so when people with these, like I said, different award ceremonies and stuff, like, one, I'm going to say, like, as principals, speak from your heart when you have that moment, when you have those kids in front of you.
Yeah.
I mean, because people can tell if you're genuine.
100%.
Right? But also, it gives that opportunity for that moment of kids to celebrate others. And there's no reason to be jealous or anything like that. Like, it also gives you the opportunity, like, you can do those things later on. And you know what? You're surrounding yourself with people that are wonderful.
Yes.
And so, anyway, that's one of the things that I love about the awards that they choose to do. And in my classroom awards, and I know I'm doing a lot of talking, sorry.
Listen, I feel good for you talking.
The other part, those classroom awards, like, my students vote for them, like, for their classmates.
For their community, yes.
So how cool is it whenever you're in your classroom awards, and this is not done in front of the whole, grade level. It's just within our team. But it's so neat whenever I say, like, hey, like, your peers voted for this.
Yes.
And they think that you have the best smile, or you are a ray of sunshine.
I love it.
Or you have, the best artist, or, even have those class comedians, But again, like, every year when we do that, you see these kids that don't always recognize these things.
And notice that other people see. That's what they see in them. Oh, I think it's awesome.
And so I'm just like, those are those moments where, I just want to bottle them up.
Yeah.
So I love the awards.
And going back to the boy that cheered your kid on, I think parents, you need to realize you are fostering one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And so that says a lot to that parent, because I think that's what's so bad is I see parents only pushing their kid to be number one and not trying to support each other. And I don't think we realize as parents what an influence we have on our kids.
Yeah.
And because we cause this dissension between each other, that's more important, because that kid's going to make it in life, no matter if he never runs a room, because he has the right attitude.
Yeah.
And so I just think that's so important.
Yeah.
Foster that, parents.
Absolutely. And I shout out to the Perrys. So
good job, Perry. That doesn't surprise me.
And you know what, though? He had a bunch of other, and I had messages from family, or from other buddies of his parents that were just like, congratulations to Race with that, and I don't know, it just again made my heart like, he didn't need that award or anything else, but it was one of those things where I go like, your community of people, your village that your kids are being raised on, it's like amazing.
Yeah,
so
I love it.
I loved it too. All right, what's your next one?
Let's think.
You're looking at my list. Well, you know
what? I have one.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of what you said. You're special, but like just the end of the year parties.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I think just getting together. Some are sad because the retirement.
Mm-hmm.
And then this week I have one. My principal's leaving, so we're having a going away party for her, and it's sad too because we're very sad that she's leaving. But I think it is something like getting away from the school in a different setting, sitting around, celebrating them, and just relaxing. And I think that's a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
Too. So I really do look forward to that.
Well, and just like you said, outside of school.
Yes.
Whatever you're going to do, and what I encourage people to do, and we were talking about this with my group, was find time in the year to do the same thing. Yeah. Like if it's an event around the community that you can all go to. We went to a project graduation singo event at the beginning of the year, and we had the best time.
Yeah.
Singing out these random songs, trying to figure it out, and we had a great time. I'm like, but it helps build that community. And, in your buildings, you have to have a close-knit community of people that you can enjoy being around, that you can support each other.
Yeah.
And all those little things matter. And I know that we all have busy things in our own family lives to go with, too.
Yeah.
Right? And I told him, like, we need to schedule something like every other month. And I was like, and I will definitely be there if we do not have a sport on that night. But that's the reality, too. And it's okay if people can't make to everything. But I encourage people to, if you're able, go.
Yes.
Go.
And even if you're kind of one of those that don't really like things to do those things, I know there's some people that's like out of their box to go to those things, but I will tell you, you will grow so much and you'll get closer to those people.
Yeah.
And it's important because you're with these people probably more than sometimes your family.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Sure.
And they are your family, your work family. And you grow that closeness by doing those extra events. So, do those things. Go out.
Absolutely. All right. So my last one I want to talk about, again, you're having these last moments with your kids. And I love, like, the kids will give you, like, special notes.
Yeah.
Or, like, little gifts or something. Not that it has to be some big gift, but it's, like, something that, like, they've actually written out. I love
that
reading
too.
those. And because it's just, like, they don't, right? It's hard for us to put our emotions into words, like actually speaking to each other, like I tell my students, I tell them all the time, like, I love you guys, like those different pieces. But whenever they give you a little note and it's just like, you made me feel this way this year or whatever, it just does something to my heart. And
it means so much to us. Like, that's better than any gift. It's just the words itself. It just, I always say it's like a salve for your heart. You know what I mean? Like, it's so good.
And it's been really neat this school year for me. I was telling somebody, so I've, for the last several years, been like, once they left me, they went to a new building.
Yeah.
And my career before, it was like, oh, they got to stay in my building.
Yeah.
And I said, this year has been so special to me because the kids that I had last year, I've still been able to see them in 6th grade. And I was like, I don't remember that feeling before. And they're like, it's because you haven't had it for a while. And so, like, now you're appreciating it. And I'm like, it 100% is.
Yes.
And so I've had some of my 6th graders bring over notes with just like, Mrs. Weedle, I'm so sad that we won't see you next year at the junior high. Or some of my favorite ones, I guess they're doing an end of the year video. And I don't know exactly, because I haven't seen it yet, what's going to be out on this video. But I know that a couple of my past students, a couple of my boys that are now in 6th grade, I guess, I don't know if apparently they wanted a picture with me for this end of the year slideshow. So the one comes in and he's a pretty cool guy. Actually, they're both pretty cool guys. I love them very much. But, and they're not too cool to not say hi to their teachers. Like, that's what I love. But the one comes in and I was like, oh, you want a picture? And he's like, yeah. And I grabbed that boy and hugged him and they took a picture. And Oh my gosh. Which he was, and I didn't know what facial expression he was making in that moment, but the girls, they helped me out. They sent me the picture, and he was smirking, and they of course dolled it all up. I don't know.
Of course,
and I was like, I said, "Oh no, don't worry, it'll be on the end of the year video." To which I'm sure he's gonna be a little embarrassed, but he's also gonna be happy.
It won't matter.
No,
it won't matter.
Well, the next day, one of the other boys came in. I was like, "Oh, do you want to hug too with our picture?" He's like, "Sure."
Go ahead.
I know, so I squeezed it. I'm like, but it's like those things too. Like, I'm just excited because I know the kids get to go on the next journey. But for them to also just be like, they want a little bit more of their teacher, like, it melts my heart. So,
and that's why I actually was talking to someone this week, and I said, I don't think parents realize as much that these kids become your family through the year. Like, we go through the hard times, the good times, and they become like your own kids. And so it is so hard. And honestly, even those little stinkers that you're like, oh, I'm glad this year's over. When it's over, you're like, you hope someone loves them like I love them.
That's it.
I hope someone sees the potential that I see in them. You know, they're exhausting, and I'm glad my time's up. But I don't think people realize it's not just a job of, oh, I work with these kids. Okay, the next year, what's the next group?
Right.
You look back and you hold those special people in your heart, and you think about them often, and you worry about them, and you care for them, and they become your own, and you don't just forget them after they walk away.
No, you definitely don't.
So,
all right. Well, thank you guys for listening. And again, just a reminder about our summer schedules. It'll be a little sporadic. So be checking our different social media platforms, making sure that you subscribed on those different podcast ones so that they'll pop up on your phones for when they come out. But we have just had a great school year.
We have had a great school year.
It's been fabulous, and we will be back in August.
We will.
Coming strong. We just want to be our best versions for you.
We will.
And we'll have some in the summer where it's just the two of us, but we may also have Robin may bring in a guest and co-host something, and I may do the same. So just be on the lookout for that.
Some fun things.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I've been thinking about going into summer for the challenge this week in the scripture, and I found this quote, and I think this is important because as we go into summer, everybody posts their best life. And I think sometimes we feel competition, or not competition, but we feel like, oh, well, envy. Yes. And so I heard this quote. It said, instead of hustling to build a life that looks good, what if you slow down and cultivate a life that feels good? And this is by Erica Lane. And I thought, man, it kind of hit me kind of strong of like, sometimes we worry too much about how we look or what things look on the outside to people, but what are we really, the life that we're living? And I found this great verse, and it says, it's 1 Timothy 6:6-10. But godliness with contentment is great gain, for we have brought nothing into the world, and we can take nothing out of it. But if we have food and clothing, we will be content with that. Those who want to go rich fall into temptation and trap into many foolish and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. Some people, eager for money, have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs. And I thought that's just a reminder. And it's not all about money and making money. But I think sometimes we see things on Facebook as summer comes and people go on vacation, and we're trying to look good and make everything look perfect. Just enjoy life. Cultivate that good life that you have this summer with your family, with your friends, and just enjoy the moment, and don't worry about what other people think and what other people are doing. Just think about your life and be content in what you're doing and make the best of it. If it's that you're not going on any vacations this year, it doesn't matter. Spend the day with your kids and have fun and making memories. And it doesn't matter if you don't have tons of money to do this or that. Just be happy and making it the best life you can.
Yeah, kids don't care about that anyway. In the end, I mean, they really don't. They just want to spend time with you and make memories with whatever that 100%. Looks like. And I know that there are a lot of people that feel like, I wish I could do more.
Yeah.
Gotta let go of it. You know?
Just enjoy it.
Yeah. And I think, a little side note here, I think that's why some people do not go into education right now. And there's that financial part of it. And you can make do, with all those different pieces.
Yeah.
And the blessings that we get from our job and knowing that you're doing really that calling and impacting people around you far outweighs that paycheck of what somebody else does, but they hate their job every single day.
Yes.
So,
and my husband says it all the time when my kids are talking about like, oh, this, and he says, listen, your mom's probably the only person I know that actually loves her job every day.
Yeah.
But we laughed about it, but I was like, honestly, that's true. Like, my husband has a great job. But I said, it's not that he wakes up and thinks, man, I'm so glad to go into work today. And I really do feel that way. You know, even on bad days, I love what I do. So just be content.
I'm going to put in a side note here because I don't think I told you this a few weeks ago. My oldest son, Race, I don't even know what we were talking about exactly. And he goes, you know, I'm thinking I may want to be a teacher one day.
Ooh.
And it was this moment where I've heard people in the past that have been like, I tell my kid not to go into education, all these things. Yeah. And I looked at him and I was like, I bet you'd make a great teacher.
Yeah. Good for you.
And I
thought, good for him.
I know. But I also, it was one of those, like, again, I think my kid's, he's a talented kid. Yeah. And he could do a lot of things. But I'm like, if God is calling you to be a teacher and you're starting to feel that, like, and I told him, like, what a blessing that can be for you and for those around you. And so it was just really interesting because he's processing and he's not committed to anything yet. But it was the first time I had heard him say that. And it was just, I had like this little like heart moment of like, man, like, if God's calling you for that, that's an amazing thing.
Could you push him to elementary? Because we could use some good guy elementary teacher. I'm sure that's what he was thinking. But if you could just guide him that way.
I mean, whatever he wants, you know? Like,
I'll talk to him next time.
Okay.
I'll push him. I don't have a problem. You can't, but I'll push him.
All right. Well, I'm so glad we got to get together.
I'm so glad to be back.
Yeah, here we go.
We can do it.
Summer's coming.
I know. I'm so excited.
Great.
All right, this is Listen.
Teacher Chatter.
This is Robin.
And Jill.
Have a great last week of school. Ooh.